Well, Mayor Olivia Chow is readying her first budget. She's going to present it tomorrow at City Hall. Chow, though, has plenty of tough decisions to make as she's trying to tackle a $1.8 billion budget shortfall this year alone. A proposed property tax hike of more than 10% on the table, partially couched with Mayor Chow saying it wouldn't be as high for some buildings in order to help renters. Meanwhile, Toronto Police also taking issue with how much its budget is expected to increase. And the city is also still trying to deal with an influx of asylum seekers, compounding issues within the shelter system.
We do live in a democracy. There's something very special about this city, that after 40,000+ people, well, actually close to 50, because of if you add in the deputations and all of the folks before the holidays, participating, there are a lot of engagement. The city government is the closest to the people, which is why you see this kind of participation, passion, and conversation and negotiation, which is happening. I welcome it.
All right, that's the mayor. Of course, Amanda Galbraith is a principal at Navigator and also was a key staffer in the mayor's office during John Tory's tenure. So you know a lot about the mayor's budgets, as it were, and what goes into these. But the pressure this year for Olivia Chow, facing this $1.8 billion shortfall, potentially a pension, 10.5%, maybe 16.5% property tax interest rate. What is going on behind the scenes now in a mayor's office at a time like this, leading up to the delivery of her budget, as it were?
I mean, they seem to have approached it a little differently than I think we did when I was in the mayor's office. Obviously, you know, they've done this very elaborate theater of a staff-presented budget, followed by a budget committee-presented budget, followed by the mayor's budget, which we will see tomorrow. Now, the interesting part of that is the mayor has a hand in all of those things, right? They're being consulted by staff throughout the process. So it wasn't like she woke up in the morning and was like, whoa, 10.5, I can't believe that number, right? She's aware. And there seems to be a bit of a theater that's happening here, I think, to create pressure to hopefully get that money out of the federal government. As I mentioned, they want $250 million. So there'll be lots of late nights, you know, lots of reviewing numbers last minute. I mean, the crazy thing is it's a $17 billion budget, and they're fighting with the police over like 12.9 million, right? Which is, candidly, is peanuts in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. So I think a little bit of this is, there's some politics to it for sure. I think it's messier than we've seen in the past. So we'll see what that means in the end for Mayor Chow.
Yeah, and like you said, because she's had a hand in all of this, when we see what's coming out tomorrow, do you think it's going to be potentially, or historically, has it been potentially markedly different from what has already been sort of, you know, preordained, as it were? We've already kind of gotten accustomed to feeling in terms of numbers, like 10.5% type thing? I mean,
I don't know what they'll do. 10.5% to me just feels like a lot because it's a double digit. And there actually are ways when you're doing the budget, like they could have pushed off some COVID costs or whatever to reduce that. And they may choose to do so, right? What it looks like is they're presenting, you know, as opposed to just eating the sausage at the end, we're seeing all of the sausage making in public, which is candidly there's a lot, I think, for all of us as Torontonians and taxpayers. So I think there will certainly be tweaks and changes. I mean, what this very lengthy process has allowed her to do is to evaluate public reaction and what's working and what's not. I do think at the end of the day, though, Torontonians are going to say the mayor has stuck us with a big tax increase, whether it's the federal levy or what, and she's not going to have her way out of that. And I think that will be a lasting impression of her administration. Yeah,
so what about that move on the federal levy, suggesting that there may be another 6% potentially on top of whatever tax increase there's going to be because of this $250 million for refugee and asylum seekers? What do you make of that posturing and positioning, sort of saying, hey, if the feds don't step up, you're going to be paying more? It's
a marked departure from how Mayor John Tory, which was very much behind the scenes, sort of nice, you know, and he was effective in getting money out of both the feds and the province. We actually saw a little bit of that touch with Mayor Chow and the premier, right? That they got along well. There's laughs and hugs and whatever. And, oh, well, we've uploaded the gardener and there's extra millions. You know, taking a baseball bat to the Liberals, like, brutally in public is a very interesting tactic. Every year, the feds have come to the table with refugee funding. They will come to the table, I bet, with money. My bet is they're going to wait as long as possible, frankly, because they're angry about this public spat. And we've seen that with some of the MPs.
And you talk about this potentially, you know, being a legacy of Mayor Chow. This is obviously only her first budget, indeed. But, you know, when you talk about double-digit hikes and things along those lines, getting beyond that, like this is only $1.8 billion shortfall this year. Like there's still a couple more years of her term right now. I mean, this challenge isn't going away after tomorrow or after February 14th.
No, and it's a challenge, candidly, that's faced every mayor, like from Mayor Ford to Mayor Tory, right? There's just an inability for the city to fund itself and the services it needs to provide with the tax base and the way that we collect money. Mayor Chow is choosing to make it very public and, like, frankly, lay it at the feet of the city and Torontonians to decide. Other politicians have chosen not to do that. And I think, candidly, probably politically, it's the easier thing to do. I wouldn't want to be in her shoes. I think it's a really messy gamble. And I think at the end of the day, she'll be painted as the person that raised taxes the most in Toronto history. And Godspeed to that when she runs for re-election.
Right, no kidding. Okay, Amanda Galbraith, we'll see what happens tomorrow from Navigator, of course, former chief of staff, not chief of staff, but of course, communications director with John Tory. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time.